The Rosen Report, sports like never before. Brought to you by Gouche Live and Paramount Sports Management. Here's Rosie.
Good Saturday afternoon to everybody. Coming to you live from a hotel room somewhere in Newmarket. Got that nice hotel picture behind me. The hotel picture with the flowers. Tries to look nice. Anyways, it is Saturday. It is a little different. Gooch is going to come up in a few minutes and talk to us about the new changes for the summer. It is July. We're going to amalgamate a few shows into Saturday, so no more 4 o'clock Rosen Report. Roundtable will be at noon, but he'll talk about that. Anyways, before we do it, and it's just going to be Scott Taylor, Kerry Goulet, the Gooch, and myself. So everybody out there, Steve Rosen, my brother, do not worry. Talking with Taylor. Scott's going to be here on Saturdays. You won't miss your Scott Taylor fix. You'll get him. Maybe even I'll get him to send you one of those cameo things for your birthday next year. But even though I just said it, you're listening. Just spoiled the surprise. Anyways, let's do a real quick Rosie's rant, and then we're going to get into the show today. So hey, listen, my rant is just the little things that happen when you're disabled. I love my show Sunday night with Brad Barco, The Journey. We talk about disability, but sometimes I forget that I'm disabled. I walked into my hotel room. I have my crutches. I need to get a new leg. It's not fitting right now. My crutch slipped, and I fell, and I smashed the end of my stump, the little piece of leg I have, onto the concrete floor. And, oh, my God, my brain – the good thing is I know I have a brain because the brainwave started like clicking to AM radio back in the 50s, maybe a show Scott watched back in Winnipeg back in the day. But, oh, my God, is my leg on fire right now. So for all of you out there that are disabled, be careful. Take that first step and think, because sometimes I forget to think and then I fall. So that's that. Pretty quick. Just Rosie's rant on stupidity, my stupidity. Let's bring up the boys, Scotty Taylor. Talking with Taylor and the one and only the Gooch, Kerry Goulet. Hey, boys.
I hope you're okay, Rosie.
I think I might have broken the end of my stump. I did it once with back in 2004. We were in the Czech Republic at the World Standing Amputee Championships, and he was actually, McGuire tells a story, he was getting a massage in the other room. I slipped in the shower, hit my stump on the concrete floor, started screaming. He didn't hear me. Finally, we came out. I did break the end of it. I had to go in and get a revision, 2 inches off the end, taken off the end of it. It might be broken, but I'll survive. I didn't look. I just slipped.
Well, take care of yourself, man.
Thank you. Gooch, what's that picture behind you? Is that the picture of the Ice Hockey Classic?
That is exactly that.
That is.
I see Chad Niering in the back there. I see Ponic, Falloon, the goalie for the U.S. Great story. I think you wrote something about it, Scotty. He was a really good prospect. Yeah, so that's a fantastic picture. I love that one.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
A little bit of a scuff up. Canada had scored and Falloon didn't like it, so he came in and talked to the boys, said a few choice words. So, I'm sure David Rutherford's in there in the middle somewhere.
We had the 2 times that I was honored to coach Canada. Unfortunately, lost both times. The only times Canada ever lost in like the 9 years. There is like nonsense that goes on. Everybody says before the game, okay, we're going to play hard. We're going to be nice, though. And the second the puck drops, there's a scuffle. There's a punch in the head. There's screaming. Zenon Konopka tried to get in our bench to get me because I was yelling at him because of something he did. And he was going to kill me. I was scared to death.
Let's see, man. You cannot play Zenon Konopka even in chess. Like, he is competitive. And don't let him lose a face-off if you're playing in a celebrity game. He'll spear you. Hey, listen, guys, I wanted to say thanks to Paul. We're going to be doing a lot of changes here just for the summer, of course, because I've been told by Scott he's got to fish a lot more than he has been. So he wants to go up. And I know Jordan's taking holidays. I know, Paul, you got to take a little bit of a rest. Gooch never takes a holiday because my holiday is when I actually go and do the Ice Hockey Classic. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we're excited about it. We are going to make some changes. Scott, if you don't mind, we'd love to continue on doing this at noon. We'll call it the Roundtable. We'll put Talking with Taylor, the Gouche Live, and the Rosen Report all together, and we'll see if we can bring up one guest every Saturday, from today, from yesterday. I think that'd be really kind of cool, and talk about all the things that are going around, because we got lots of stuff going on, as you probably know, guys. We've got July the 17th. Teams must put in their protection list. July 21st, the Kraken are having their expansion draft. July 23rd, 24th, it is the NHL draft, entry draft. And then July 28th, it all starts. I'm wondering who's going to pick it up, the free agency, who the Winnipeg Jets are going to come. Maybe you can throw something out at us there. That's the schedule right there. We're going to be doing some shows. We're going to do a mock draft with Jordan and the boys. We're going to put that all together. However, during the next 2 months, we're going to change it. Wednesday at the Bottom Line, lunch with Gouche and friends will be there, obviously with Wayne Cowley. On Thursday, it's the Footy Express with Val and, of course, Nicholas Fiore. Friday will be the Gouche Live show in its regular position at 4 o'clock. Saturday will be our Roundtable. Thursday, Paul will also be doing a Rosen Report. And then Sunday night will be the Journal with Paul, Rosen, and Bartz. And of course, we'll be doing our usual Monday, Mental Health Mondays and Wellness Wednesdays. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to actually take a break.
The Journey, not the Journal. The Journal, I wish I was on the Journal with Peter Mansbridge, but the Journey. It is a journey.
Well, you got to put that journey in a journal. That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, cool.
All right, let's get started. I'm really excited about what's going on. Tell us.
Well, let's start with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I want to have a rant. Let's start with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay, rant.
Beaverton, better than anybody else. Our national sarcastic website, the Beaverton, said it best. Team that didn't have to play by the rules beats all the other teams that did. Now, that's a little unfortunate because the rules are so bad. The Tampa Bay Lightning did, in fact, play by the rules, but the rules are horrid. The rules allowed a team to go with a player outside the salary cap for an entire year and be just at the edge of the salary cap, but when the playoffs start, you could bring the player back because the salary cap doesn't matter anymore. If the league had proper rules, they could have brought Kucherov back and dumped 5 guys off their third and fourth lines like any other team in the league would have had to do during the regular season. But because the National Hockey League is the best league in the world for the greatest game in the world, but in fact the worst league in the world, the Tampa Bay Lightning were allowed to do what they did. And yes, it is within their lousy rules, and their rules are indeed lousy. But the Lightning were able to bring back their greatest player and their highest paid player for the playoffs and not have to deal with the salary cap like every other team had been dealing with all year. That's not to say they weren't the best team. They were indeed the best team. Not even close, as it turns out. But the reality is that the National Hockey League's rules are horrible. And that leads us into the next part of it, which is it's time to sit down with the rule book and take about 80% of the rules out. Cross-checking is no longer a penalty. Punching a guy in the face after the whistle is no longer a penalty. Cross-checking a guy in the face in front of the net is no longer a penalty. Hitting a player from behind is only a penalty occasionally. Tripping, hooking, spearing, slashing, and interference are really not penalties. That's done as a matter of course. The league has to figure out a rule book that tells their fans what penalties are. Because as you watched the playoffs this year, about 90% of the noise from the fans who were allowed in the building was yelling at referees because the fans don't know what the rules are, and the referees don't know what the rules really are because they're told by the league not to call them. So it's time to get all of those rules that are never called out of the rule book and quit telling players and the media and the fans that this is illegal when it's obviously not. It's time to just go back to the days of Hudson Bay rules. If you want to hit somebody in the face with a stick, you probably can. So the NHL really has to do something about its rule book. They have to change the rules of hockey to make it relate to what we watch now. Because I can tell you, I'll guarantee you this, I could run 100 pictures of cross-checking in the playoffs, and not one of them was called cross-checking. Cross-checking is not against the rules in the NHL. It's time to take it out of the rule book. And that's my rant for the day.
Hey, Gooch, I love it. To me, now we got a new segment. It's Rosie's Rant, and it's Taylor's Tyrant. I love it. Couldn't agree with you more, Scotty. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and then we'll do Gooch's great. Hey, listen, are those sound great? I just want to understand this for a second. Scotty, the three of us are older than 50, as we know. Our producer, Jordan, I'm going to have some fun with this one because he would be throwing that all out. He'd say, Scotty, you're too old, get your glasses. But here's the thing, and we'll have a little bit of fun with this because we've had this conversation, Paul, about what Kucherov did during the regular season, nothing, and then comes out and wins, and then he has that press conference. We're going to ask you that in a second. But this is an amazing comment by our friend, Bruce Tennant. Even in a men's rec league, you have to play a minimum of number of games to play in the playoffs. Check Hockey DB. Kucherov isn't even on the roster. So, again, no sour grapes. Listen, man for man, team for team, they deserve to win.
Yeah.
There was some sketchiness. It's not their fault, and Jordan taught me this lesson. It's not their fault. They followed the rules that were set by the NHL, but they have to do exactly what you do. And I will give you full marks. Sorry, Scott Paul last comment. Full marks with nobody knows what the refereeing is all about. And we got Gary Bettman coming on national television with Ron McLean saying, "Hey, Ron, you're a referee. You know all about it. We've got the best referees in the world in bar any other league." That's all I'm going to say about that.
I don't want to be
the point is this. The point.
Go ahead, Scott.
Go, Scotty.
It's not the referees. They do what they're told by Gary Bettman and the owners. It's not their fault. They're doing what they're told. If they called the games by the rule book, the entire game would be a 3-on-3 penalty situation. That's all it would be. So they don't call the game by the rule book. They manage the game to make it as fair as they possibly can. As our friend Tim Peel said out loud, I have to call a penalty on the Islanders soon because if I don't, it's not going to look good. And he was absolutely correct. That's the way it works. As you look at a hockey game, every time, penalties are pretty close. Maybe one team has one more, maybe occasionally two. But generally, the penalty calls and power plays are very, very close. Even if one team is beating the living dog crap out of the other team, it doesn't matter. The penalties are still close. We'll call cheapies against the other guys to even it out. That comes from the National Hockey League, not from the officials. The officials will call the game the way they're asked to call the game to keep their jobs. They're doing what they're told to do. So it's time to stop blaming the officials and start pointing the finger at the people who have created this situation in the National Hockey League, and that's the commissioner and his employees at the head office in New York and the owners of the franchises. Make no mistake, the franchise owners do not care about hockey. They don't care. They care about the bottom line. They care about tickets being purchased. And right now, tickets are being purchased and television is going well. They're going back to ESPN. They're going to grow in the United States. Gary Bettman has been on the job for as long as he's been on the job because he's made owners wealthy. The day comes when he stops making owners wealthy is the day Gary Bettman loses his job. So right now, we have a situation where the games are called the way they're called because fans are buying tickets and the buildings are full. They have new television agreements. They are making money across the board. So the only way to fix that is to tell the fans what the real rules are. And that's why I think the competition committee of the National Hockey League has got to put a rule book together that tells people what the rules are. I have no problem with taking cross-checking out. If you're not going to call it, why is it in the book? I have no problem with taking interference out because if you're not going to call it, don't have it in the rule book. But put together rules where the fans can go, okay, that's a penalty. Where they understand. In baseball, not so much in basketball and football, but in baseball, you understand what the rules are. You understand how the game works. And if they don't think they got it right, they look on video. They never look on video for penalties in hockey. They never do. Because they're making it up as they go along. And that's okay. but just write the rule book that says that's what we're doing. You talk about Hudson Bay rules, Gooch, that's exactly what the National Hockey League is. They make it up as they go along. And it's time
I
for
said
that to end.
Kmart. I didn't say. I said Kmart. That was Paul that said Hudson Bay.
Dude,
Yeah.
Scotty's on fire today, man. I
Oh, it's
agree with
unbelievable.
every single thing he says. Listen, real quick, I don't want to be a hypocrite because guys are going to say, yeah, Rosie, you were fine in 2015 when Patrick Kane sat out, not the whole season, but a massive chunk of it, and then they were able to get Antoine Vermette and win the Cup in 15. But I thought the league was going to change it. And the big difference for those people out there that are mad at me because, I said that when the Hawks did it, Kucherov sat out the entire year. He didn't play a single game. Patrick Kane, I think it was Christmas, he sat out like the last 25 or 30 games when he hurt his shoulder. Something has to be done, 100%. I want to know what Jordan means there. He says Bisbois for Jack Adams. Isn't Jack Adams the coach of the year and Bisbois is a GM? Am I wrong there?
We're gonna have to fire our
Tampa?
producer. Hey, and I got to go on record too. He didn't disagree with you, Scott. He disagreed with us, and we'll get into that right now, Paul, if you don't mind. It was a joke for being GM of the year. Okay, I got it. We've had this discussion. We haven't had it with Scott Taylor. We may not get a word in edgewise after I say this to Scotty, but I'm going to love to hear this. Jordan and I, along with Paul, have a disagreement. Paul's actually agreeing with me, which is fantastic. We found the press conference for Kucherov a little offside. And what he gets for it is he takes a Bud Light and he gets a contract with Bud Light because of that horrific, in my opinion, they called it epic, horrific press conference where he's got no shirt on. I wish I could take my shirt off and look like that on national television. He has a beer in the hand. He's drunk. And then he lambasts the Montreal Canadian fans and doesn't even give the respect to Fleury that he did win the Vezina and did deserve it. I'd love to hear from you. Please put Jordan in line because he says we need more personality in the NHL. Do we need that type of personality? Let's just make it a road show. Let's do the WWE. Somebody should have came in and hit him over the head with a chair. Scott Taylor, what are your thoughts on the press conference?
First of all, based on the rules of the National Hockey League, it already is the WWE. Let's not even go anywhere different. It's the WWE. The only difference is the games aren't predetermined, but the rules of the game don't exist. So don't knock the WWE. Second of all, I love players who do that because I'm from the old-time newspaper and magazine business. I want players to say stuff. I want to have a really good column the next day, and I don't want to work very hard. I want the players to do it for me. I want them to say stuff. My favorite interview of all time is still Teemu Selanne. And you know why? Because all you have to do is set him up for the question, and he will agree with you. I remember writing a Teemu Selanne column the same day as my friend Paul Friesen wrote one in the Winnipeg Sun. And Teemu Selanne said completely opposite things to me as he did to Paul, and we were about an hour apart getting the interview. I love those guys. I think when Kucherov came up drunk with his shirt off, good for hockey. And say whatever you want, because players put that on the bulletin board. I mean, the reality is when you say in Canada, it goes back to about the 1934 Grey Cup when Reg Threlfall, might have been 37 or 38, said about the Hamilton Tigers, we're going to cut them off at the knees and make them look like Boy Scouts. And he lost 30-7 because they weren't Boy Scouts. And the reality is if Kucherov is going to do that to himself, the Montreal Canadiens are not going to forget. And the next time Kucherov is on the ice playing in this game that has no rules, he may have trouble getting off the ice. Because that's the reality of the National Hockey League. These guys aren't going to forget what he said. They're not going to forget what he said about Carey Price. They're just not going to forget. And Kucherov just put a target on his own back with no shirt on. So I have no problem with what he did. I have no problem with what he did at all. It's 2021. It's not 1956. Times have changed. The world has changed. And good for Kuch, and I'm glad he got the deal for Bud Light. If I had one with me, I'd hold it up, see what I could get.
It's not a beer anyway.
Buddy, you're gonna so now Jordan, we're never gonna hear the end of it from Jordan now because you guys, all the guys over 60 have the same mindset, and I understand what you're getting, with your paper and what you do, and this is easier for you, and you want old school stuff, with the players saying stuff. To me, it's just the disrespect. like there's certain things he said, okay, fine, he's going to get his next year. I agree with you on that. But to disrespect what he said to the fans, to sort of make fun of them, I don't get, because then it just brings the whole Russian thing back and forth, where now people, he said it because he's a Russian and this, and it just brings stuff into play that we don't need anymore. He did not have to do that. He didn't have to go that far over the line with the disrespect, and then to say what he said about Fleury and not even get his name right. Like, yeah, I don't even know that guy that won the Vezina last year. Yeah, what did he do? What did he do? Come on, Kucherov. That's too much.
Hey, listen, I just want to say this, understanding it all, and I think I know with Jordan, I've beaten it to a dead horse. I don't think we'll ever change that. I think the National Hockey League does need more personality, but I also think it needs some class, and that for me was not class. But the fact of the matter is, the fans pay the bills, and somebody say, no, it's the sponsors. But I'll tell you what, if those fans aren't buying Bud Light or Michelob Ultra, which I'm starting to drink, because I need to, those sponsors aren't going to be shelling out that kind of money to the NHL.
You're
so
right.
There has to be a fine line. It's not. Let's understand it. It is not the sponsors and the TV deals that are paying the bills. It is ultimately the people that are watching the television and the people that are buying those Bud Lights that are paying the bills. So be very careful, because it could come and bite you in the ass. That's it on that.
Perfect. Love
the
it.
only people
Right.
that are paying for the NHL are people who are buying tickets. I've already had my meeting this year with the local hockey team, and it's about 80% across the board. Ticket sales are the most important thing of all.
Well,
of the
100%.
National Hockey League by a long
nice to
shot. And
Be nice.
if this hurts ticket sales, I'll be surprised, because my response to this is exactly what your favorite movie in the world is about, Slapshot, and all of our friends that are in that movie. It's about doing the things that fill the building. And
Yes.
the little Charlestown Chiefs couldn't put anybody in the building when they were playing respectful, old-time hockey. And then when they turned into crazy goons going into the crowd to fight people, you couldn't buy a ticket. And the National Hockey League is going to sell tickets on Kucherov, especially in Montreal, because they're going to turn him over just like a cop car.
Can you imagine
I can't wait till the first Tampa Montreal game. Cannot wait.
Right. The Montreal fans right now, they're probably, when is the schedule coming out? I want a ticket to be in the building so I can have a sign up saying something about Kucherov. I agree with that 100%.
Hey, my favorite movie is no longer Slapshot. It's Planet of the Apes, Return of the Monkeys, or something like that. I'm starting to watch it. I haven't got through it yet. I'm really liking it. Hey guys, on the roundtable, we just want to get a couple of your opinions. Of course, on July the 17th,
the Monkeys.
I think or maybe it was no, that was the name of the band, the Monkeys. Hey, we're the Monkeys. Hey, listen, July 17th, the teams have to put in their protected list. So, Paul, you're a Chicago Blackhawk fan. Scott, we know who you are. I'm a Winnipeg Jets fan too, so I'm going to leave my names to you, Scott. Who do you think is not going to be protected on the Winnipeg Jets? And then Paul, tell us who you think on the Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, the Jets have a load of veterans that I don't think they're going to protect, the Nate Thompsons of the world. I'm not sure how many good players are going to go. I would doubt at this moment that they're going to re-sign Paul Stastny. So coming in July, he may be available to Seattle. I think we have to wait and see what they decide to do. But the Jets are going to lose somebody, but they're certainly not going to lose their young stars. I mean, they're definitely going to protect the guys that are the core of the hockey team. But there's some veteran guys well over 30 that are going to be gone by the time this whole thing ends.
Paul?
Gooch, to me, I got to look at the roster and see what's going on and see what, who they're going to protect, to see what's going to be taken. But I'm going to say one thing here, and it probably will be, people will get mad, but I'm going to say that they're not going to protect Jonathan Toews, only because it will give them the opportunity to protect a young player, and they're critical of their young players, and I don't think the Kraken would pick up Toews. That's what I think. They're not going to protect him. They have to protect their goaltender, Lankinen. He's their future. Other than that, you're going to lose somebody. I don't know.
Hey,
what do you think?
Yeah. I think I believe that this is going to be a very interesting situation. The question came earlier from your brother, actually, and Scotty, you guys can answer this one. Do you think the Seattle Krakens can assemble a competitive team like Vegas for their first year? And Jordan's yesterday, I think it was along with Stephen Ellis, said, you know what? Maybe they shouldn't. And the reason they shouldn't is the expectations are going to be high on the Seattle Kraken to be the Las Vegas Golden Knights in that first year. And it's going to be really tough. I just don't think they can assemble the crew that the Las Vegas Golden Knights is. So it may be smart for them. This is coming from Stephen Ellis. Maybe smart to tank for a couple of years because the drafts in 2022 and 2023 are some studs coming out of there. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Mr. Taylor.
Can I ask Scott one question real quick?
100%.
So Jordan has in there that they can't protect. Taza is not going to be on the because he's got a no move clause. If that's the case, any player with a no move clause is out of the situation. They can't. The Kraken don't have a shot at them. That takes a lot of players off the books.
Wow,
Scott.
Scott's frozen.
Scott frozen.
Yes, he's frozen. Scotty's frozen.
He's
in Winnipeg.
He looked very stoic there. He looked like,
no. Hey, we only got a few minutes. Frozen. We only got a few minutes. Hopefully he comes back. But I wanted to say this. We are going to do a expansion draft this week coming up. And Jordan, he's going to get us all the rules because it is kind of confusing of who and what and where, because we've talked about, what's going to go in Toronto. That's going to be a whole show just in itself of what the Toronto Maple Leafs will do, obviously with Scott Taylor being close to the ground. But I think what we should do for the expansion draft is to know who is or what are the rules. And I love today's show, obviously with your rant, but then going into hearing Scott with his tirade, talking about the National Hockey League and the referee. I really believe that is the focus of the National Hockey League this summer, to actually get that in place. Guys, let's look at those. Let's look at the videos. Let's just get it right. And that's all that needs to be done.
I agree with you. Because you want to get new fans on track. You're losing some fans, and new fans are going to be, what is this? Like, you have to.
Breaking news. Sorry. Jordan's father's coming up saying teams have to protect players with no moves. So I'd love to get that. I'd love to get that. Sorry, Jordan, Sean, you guys are in the same bloodline. We'd really like to get to know that answer. I should know it. You should know it. And we apologize to Jordan for throwing it out there, Adam. But I think that's going to be an important thing, that we actually get what the rules are going forward.
I'm sure Stephen Ellis will, by Monday, Tuesday of next week, he'll know exactly what's going on, who they can protect, who they can't protect. The teams will put out their list a couple days before, and then we can go through each team and see what we think.
100%. We'll do that next Saturday. Hey, as we wrap up, Paul, of course, the Rosen Report, looking forward to, obviously, tomorrow night. The Journey, not the Journal. Tell us what's going on there.
We have a great show tomorrow night. Brad Barco is going to actually be getting every week will be a different show. This week is Brad's guest. He's got a young lady. Her name is Bean like a jelly bean, Bean Gill. And she has got a story, Gooch, unbelievable. I couldn't do her justice with her story. She was on a trip, and she wasn't feeling good, and she went to the hospital, and before you know it, she's paralyzed, and she turned her life around. This story is beyond a story. You have to turn in tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Journey, show number 6, guest number 5, Bean Gill. What an incredible woman.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that. Hey, let's just run down our new roster. Monday, Tuesday, we're going to take it off. You guys can go fishing with Scotty. He's probably gambling somewhere. I wonder if you can gamble at fishing. There's got to be somewhere where he can come in with that. So Wednesday, bottom line, lunch with Gooch and friends. We're going to be talking National Hockey League. Of course, there's lots going on. We will have a special show obviously for a couple of other things that are going on with expansion draft, entry draft. Thursday, you'll be on with the Rosen Report. The Footy Express, don't forget Val and Nicholas doing a bang-up job there. Friday will be Gouche Live as usual, 4 o'clock. We'll be talking everything hockey, not only what's going on in the NHL, but around the world. Saturday will be our Roundtable with Talking with Taylor, the Rosen Report, and of course, Gouche and friends. And then Sunday is the Journal. So I'm really looking forward to that new lineup. Gives us a couple days off.
Journey.
I said that. It's Tooth is having some trouble. I watched the Journal last night. Listen, what's really exciting in the fact that, we're going to take a couple of days off, recharge the batteries. Today's your anniversary. Enjoy that, buddy. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night on The Journey.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Yeah,
dude. Appreciate it. Some changes for the summer, but the shows are going to be compact and great. Make sure you watch Wednesdays at the Bottom Line. If you get a chance now, on Friday, they'll be open. Robert Wine, Love Paul Sundays. Robert, you're going to be a big part of the shows coming up. I love you. You were my hero of the week last week. If you get a chance on Friday, if you're in Toronto, they will be opening up, I think, 50% capacity inside. Stop by, see Wayne Talley, say hi, tell him Gouche or Rosie or Jordan sent you. And if you want to come by on Wednesday and watch Gouche and Friends, lunch with Gouche and Friends at the Bottom Line, it's amazing. Great food, great atmosphere. Until then, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, going to be a great show on The Journey, show number 6, guest number 5. Until then, I got 2 years with my girl, Ariana, a fantastic planned afternoon with her. She doesn't know. She doesn't watch my show, so she's not going to know what's going on. But until then, have a great day. Take care of yourself. Be good to yourself and be good to others. God bless.
You've been listening to the Rosen Report, sports like never before, with your host, Rosie. Brought to you by Gouche Live and Paramount Sports Management.